My Hero Academia chapter 429, titled I Am Here, dropped, giving us the second to last chapter of My Hero Academia. Ochaco finally releases all of her bottled up emotions to Deku, and the mystery villain appears with a tragic backstory. So let's get into breaking down the second to last My Hero Academia chapter. Now the chapter begins with the mysterious new character narrating, and he says that when his family discovered that his quirk was a mutation, all of his family members started treating him not so very nicely. Soon afterwards, they locked him in an underground room in their house. Because he was scared and sad, he kept crying, which resulted in his mouth being tied up. Years later, one day, he heard his family shouting that this country is doomed. They came down with some food and water and never showed up ever again. Now, this is wild, as not only did this confirm that this mystery villain is indeed a brand new character and is not only just a parallel to Shigaraki in the way that he is wandering the streets with no heroes around to help, but he is also a parallel to Eri. Eri's rewind quirk, just like the new character, was the result of an extremely rare mutation, causing her quirk to bear no resemblance to any quirk from either side of her mom or dad's family. As we know, she inadvertently killed her father by touching him and rewinding his body to the point he no longer existed, and her mother ended up abandoning her, believing she was cursed. The mystery character and their mutated quirk seems to have had his family terrified of what his abilities could do, stitched up his mouth so no one could hear him crying, while locking him away because of it, thus being abandoned by his own family, the ones that should have been there for him. What makes it even more tragic is that when things got bad in Japan because of the wars between the heroes and villains, his entire family left him for dead. Continuing on, the mystery character states that cracks began appearing in the underground room when a great impact happened, and he managed to finally escape and blames himself for what went wrong. Making it to the end of the alley, he comes across a bunch of people, and he says that he was scared and alone all this time and wonders why these people are smiling. Switching over to Ochaco, as she remembers Toga's final words, stating that she had been loving the happy faces of people, a stark contrast and beautiful transition from the mystery villain and him seeing the happy faces of the people he came across. Ochaco tells herself that's why she aimed to be a hero, but she's only alive thanks to Himiko Toga sparing her life in exchange for her own, and starts to cry. Deku arrives calling out to her, and Ochaco tries to hide her tears and asks how he knew she was there and how did he even get there. Deku says that he used One for All and that this is the place where they had an important talk and thought that she would be here. Ochaco says she didn't want to be seen, but Deku says he's sorry, but he wanted her to show them, that being her feelings. Deku follows up by saying since the entrance exam, she has always prioritized others over herself. Deku begins to cry as he continues saying that she always saved him, as we see flashbacks to all the times Ochaco throughout the series has saved and helped Deku. Deku tells her that she is his hero, so he won't rely only on her strength. He runs up to Ochaco and asks if she knew that holding someone's hand can put her heart at ease, as he offers his hand for her to hold. Ochaco holds Deku's hands and starts crying even harder. She begins to release and show Deku her bottled up feelings of regret, guilt, and emotions. She says Himiko died because of her, and if she hadn't been stabbed, she would still be alive. She tells Deku that Toga's quirk allowed her to give blood to anyone, wondering if she couldn't have been found sooner, and if she'd known Toga when they were children, would things have been different? Deku says that he's been thinking the same exact things about Tenko, and he wants to make sure that the war won't have the consequences of the last one. All for One warned him that this is a thorny path to follow, but he's sure that if they keep reaching out, even when it's none of their business, then someday Deku then gets cut off as the rest of the class arrives, as they were all worried about Ochaco as well. Suyu hugs Ochaco and Deku looks at his hand, and we see the ember of One for All. Deku clenches his fist and smiles, and Bakugo asks Deku if the embers are still okay, since he just used One for All. Deku says that they are, and Aizawa with the rest of the class asks why he didn't tell them about the embers to begin with. Deku in narration states that One for All was completed through the heroism of many people, and if this time everyone can come together to create a new power, then as he says this, we see that one of the UA statues has been replaced by one of Monoma, with him of course bragging about it to everyone. Eri sings at Aoyama's farewell party with the entire class cheering her on as Deku is flabbergasted. Switching over to Hawks telling All Might that he wants to expand the Billboard chart because several people who aren't heroes helped in the war. They're thinking of creating a new title that is different from the industrialized heroes and reflect on how there can be many great heroes. Switching back to the mystery character, looking at the people around him and wondering why only he has to suffer. A black venom-like liquid then starts to come out of his fingers, but the old lady that once refused to help Tenko in the past says Sonny and holds his hand. The old lady thinks to herself that she didn't know if Tenko that day was saved by the heroes and often loses sleep over it. Hulk says that after what Izuku Midoriya did that day, everyone felt like they needed to do something, and the grandma tells the mystery character it's fine now because grandma's here. A fun little play on, of course, All Might's I am here. The boy looks at the old lady and starts to cry, with Deku and Ochaco watching from a distance, and they smile as the old lady reaches out to the boy, and the chapter ends with Hawks continuing to say it doesn't matter if that something is just cheering, but Deku delivered the feeling of needing to do something to everyone. He then says that it must be up there in the future, a society where heroes have too much spare time. Now this chapter was fantastic. The mystery character, unlike Tenko, was saved and his path of villainy was altered thanks to Deku's actions during the war, causing the people to look out for others to lend out a helping hand to those that need it, showing that Deku via his actions during the war have made an impact on society, inspiring people to take action. The grandma from Tenko's past low-key got a cool little redemption arc and really subverted my expectations since I really thought Deku would be the one to reach out to him. I will say the grandma being the one to reach out her hand to him really does fit the Shigaraki parallel better, since it was because not a single person bothered to help him that ultimately led Tenko into the arms of All For One, leading him down his villainous path and turning into Shigaraki. The Ochaco and Deku stuff was honestly perfect, and while there wasn't this grand I love you moment between the two of them, thanks to Class 1A coming in, it was pretty much implied that they do have strong feelings for each other. Ochaco has always been there for Deku, putting others before herself. Deku being there for her really put a new meaning to Ochaco's style of heroism, of being someone who is there to help / save the heroes in need, as Deku is the one to be there and save her for a change, helping her deal with her survivor's guilt. The two of them share a special connection as they both view the deaths of their respective villains in the same light. Overall, this chapter really hit it out of the park when it came to showing Deku's impact on society via the old lady, helping the new mystery character, ultimately preventing the rise of the next All For One, and finally letting Ochaco release a lot of her bottled up emotions. And while sad, I can't wait to see what happens in the final chapter. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on the chapter. Are you ready for the final chapter? Let me know everything in the comment section below. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to Detroit smash that like button down below, and if you are new to the Kidaroki channel, then be sure to subscribe with notifications on so that you don't miss any My Hero Academia content, and I'll see you all in the next one.